Hello and welcome to another amazing episode of Beyond Loss, Loving Life with Karen Chaston. How are we all today? Please let me know where you are, who you are, where you're from, and what's happening in your life today, because today we're going to deep dive into loss, but in a different way. We're going to look at the gift of loss. And I totally understand that so many people are always like, how can you say there's a gift, Karen? You know, you lost your son. How is it possible that you can even think for one moment that your son's passing is a gift? Hi, Christine. Great to see you here from Perth. But the reality is, it's not in losing Dan where the gift came. It's actually who I became after Dan passed away and went on to his next adventure. But the funny thing about it is he's with me. He's continually showing me signs each day how much he is with me and how much he is guiding me and showing me a better way to not only move beyond loss, but to also to live and love your life and to create that better way of life. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome, everyone. I've spent the last week with an amazing friend, and we've been doing some healing work, and it's really interesting how many gifts came up when we started to deep dive into the things that have been happening in her life and also in my own. And one thing that really came out big time was the fact that so often we can't find that gift. We only look at the negative side of it. We just tell that story over and over and over again, and we don't take the time to really to deep dive into what our life is all about. Hi, Oni. Nice to see you from Victoria. Hope you're doing okay in your lockdown. Sending you love and healing, as everyone who is watching it will also send it to you. So yes, that's what we're going to talk about, the gift of loss. So I'd like for you to obviously play with us and for you to actually start to tell me some loss events that have happened in your life, and if you've been able to find the gift of it, or if maybe you require some assistance with finding the gift, because that's what happened with my beautiful friend. I said, oh, there's so many gifts in what you've shared with me. And she said, help me find them. Help me find them. And then when we started deep diving into them, and I said, well, I can see this and all this sort of stuff, she even started to see, oh, yeah, you're right. No, that's fine. I don't even notice half the emojis, Karen, but great to see you here from Canada. Okay, so we're all on board what we're going to do today. I really hope that you can play. So what are some of the gifts that we can sort of look at? Okay, so I'll start to talk about some of the ones that I have received from Dan passing. So one of the greatest gifts is the fact that I am more aware, I'm more spiritual. I am obviously more in tune. I purposely do daily habits to assist me to vibrate at a higher level so that I can connect more with Dan, because if you're vibrating at a lower level, and that's when you're in all of the, I guess we could say the emotions that are not so ideal, when you're in fear or anger or regret, or you're blaming yourself or blaming others. Now, blame is such an interesting emotion, and it's a practice, I guess you can say, that isn't ideal. Now, if you've been watching my show for a while, you will know that I love to break down words, and blame is the perfect word to break down. So there's blah, and then there's me. So if you're in the blah, 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 blah about what has happened, you're focusing on the other person. You're not focusing on me. So you're not taking any responsibility for your part in whatever has happened. You are not focusing in on how this event happened, but the lead up to all of the things that happened and all of the signs that you chose to ignore, or you were the ones that sort of lit the fire to it, so that when this thing happened that you continually keep blaming others for and you're not taking responsibility for, you're not really there with the event. So does that make sense? So let me know so that I can I'll just keep talking until obviously you start chipping in with some things that you may like assistance with. So what are some of the other great things that I have got from Dan passing? Well, one of the things is that before Dan passed, I was a CFO of a publicly listed company. I was working too much, I was eating too much, and I was definitely drinking way too much. Around 3 o'clock every day, I started to have this yearning to have a drink. And of course I didn't, because I didn't get home till 7. But it was starting to, I really feel like a drink now. I really feel like a drink now. And it was starting to own me. And what was really quite interesting about it is I hadn't realized how much it was starting to own me. Whereas 10, 15 years previously, I could see it when coffee was owning me. So let me explain the coffee scenario. So in the 80s and the 90s, I worked at Dreamworld, and I would get there early in the morning, and we wouldn't have percolated coffee. This is how old it is, right? None of these fancy little coffees that we used to have. But we never had percolated coffee until after 9 a.m. where the staff canteen opened up. And I'd get there early and I'd be hanging out for this percolated coffee. And then one day I said to myself, it's really owning me. This isn't good. So I completely gave up coffee and I've never drunk it again. Whereas with alcohol, I just allowed it. I wasn't sort of even realizing how much alcohol owned me, even though it started to call me each day. So the funny thing happened that after Dan passed, and it did take a little while, but in 2018, I started to notice how my relationships could be better if I stopped drinking. I wasn't a bad drunk, but sometimes I would say things that I wouldn't remember, and I didn't like that. And sometimes, I would react not so ideally because, let's face it, your senses are sort of dulled a little bit. You misunderstand things, you fire up more when you have alcohol. So what I did was I read a book, and the book is called The Easy Way for Women to Give Up Drinking. And I was recommended it to a lady who I had just met. And she started telling me how she'd given up drinking. She'd stopped drinking a couple of months ago. Her husband didn't really like it, but she was really liking the fact that she wasn't drinking. Her husband liked the fact that he had a dedicated driver, but he didn't like the fact that she wasn't, partying like they used to and all that sort of stuff. So, and when she said it to me, she goes, I've only just met you. I don't know why I'm telling you this. And I went, I know why you're telling me this. It's something that I require to hear. So I listened really carefully, and I took down the name of the book, and then I purchased it, and I read all my books through Kindle on my iPhone. So what I did was I started reading the book, and the book actually says, as long as you're reading this book, you can keep drinking. So I read very, very slowly because I was thinking I want to give up drinking, but I sort of didn't want to as well. So then eventually I decided, right, 2019 is going to be my alcohol-free year. I'm just going to do it for a year and I'll see what happens, because, I didn't want to commit, I'll never drink again. I just wanted to say, well, I'm just stopping for 2019. So I did. My last drink was the 30th of December, 2018. And I breezed through 2019 with no alcohol. And so much so that all of my relationships improved, especially the one with myself. My health improved. I wasn't looking for that fix like I was before. So that's what I'm sharing with you today, is there's so many benefits that you will receive from every loss event. Now, I know that Dan was guiding me towards the time to stop drinking, because you see, when you have alcohol in your system, For 3 days after drinking, you don't vibrate as high as what you do when you have no alcohol in your body. So when you're trying to connect with your loved ones on the other side, to be able to be more intuitive with them and to tune in with them, being around and being here, it's really important for you to understand that if you have a lot of alcohol in your system, it may be bringing you down, which is lowering your vibration, but also the alcohol itself is not very good in your system. And it's funny, in 2018, I went to a retreat in the Cotswold in the UK, and there was no alcohol allowed on the premises. And I can understand why once you sort of deep dive into it and understand that it's not ideal to have that in your system. Okay, what about guilt? Okay, Oni, thank you for your question. What about guilt? So you tell me on what is the guilt about? Is it about the fact that you didn't do something, the fact that you did do something, is something you said? It's something that, you ideally, guilt is an emotion that, I'm not going to say a useless emotion, but it's an emotion that will never, ever benefit you. Because if you have guilt over something that you did or said or they didn't do or say, you can't change it. So it's about you deep diving into the feeling and getting to the actual core of that feeling as to why you are feeling guilty. And it's a funny thing about guilt. It is that not only can you not change it, it's about you actually looking at it. So are you feeling guilty or are you projecting guilt to the other person? And there is a difference, because guilt, it doesn't serve you in any way. You can apologize. Now, I'm not going to say to ask for their forgiveness. And the best way for you to do that is for you to actually write it down. You please never read it to the person, whether they're in this realm or beyond, but just write down what you're feeling guilty. Take the time to list the scenario, list the event, write down the event, and deep dive into all the emotions that you have about those, about that. And then start to think of a better way of reframing what happened and look for that gift. Now, there is a gift in it, and the gift may be that what you're feeling guilty about, you've never done to anyone else. You've actually changed the way you talk to people, or you've changed the way that you are with people because of this guilt. And that in itself is a gift. I hope that's helped you, Oni, but let me know. Christine, yes, my nan gives me messages every day, which I've been ignoring because of society and me not feeling people accept it. Christine, why are you worried about other people? I'm not judging you. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm just asking you that question. Why is it that you're worried about what society says is right or wrong? And have you noticed that a lot of the time things change? Like the things that we believed in many, many years ago are now coming mainstream. And that's something about spirituality, being connected to the other side. We're all vibrating higher. We're all coming more into love. And more importantly, we're all starting to move towards the fifth dimension. And in the fifth dimension, we will have more than our six senses. We will start to embrace more and more and more as we move into this new dimension. So it's really important for you to start to ask yourself, why am I denying my gifts? You're connected to your nan and she's giving you messages. And it's amazing that you are getting the messages. So start to own who you are, start to honor who you are, and have gratitude, not only for your nan coming in the way that she is, but also have gratitude for the gifts that you can connect to her. So if you can connect to her, who else can you connect to? And you'll be surprised that when you actually start to share your gifts with other people, sure, there may be people who, I don't know, poo-poo it and say, that's really scary. But there are also others that will embrace it and go, wow, how lucky are you? I'd love to be able to be intuitive like that. So start to own it and start to honor it and just see the people who actually start to show up in your life because you've now starting to embrace these gifts. And the ones who don't, maybe it's time for you to lovingly say, thank you for being here, but maybe it's time for you not to, because I'm going to embrace these gifts. And you can come with me or you can stay where you are. Something for you to think about, Christine. I hope that could help. Hi, Joanne. Ani, I'm glad I could assist you. Hi, I gave up smoking, drinking, now eating snacks, can't stop. How can I? Okay, so it's about, and I totally get it. When you have, let's change the word from gave up to stopped. Okay, I'm glad that helped you, Christine. So, Lisa, what I found when I stopped drinking was I changed the word from gave up to stopped, because gave up seems to have an essence around it, which is very much like you're being deprived. Okay, does that make sense? So, and I hope it does, because it certainly did to me. And our words are so important. Words have so many, like a vibration to them, and it could keep you in necessity or it can keep you in possibility. Whereas when I say I stopped drinking, well, it's clear that it was my choice to stop. I didn't give up anything. I stopped. And there is a difference. So that's when I heard, okay, so now you're eating snacks and you can't stop. Okay, so it's about deep diving into, that sounds like they're the symptoms. You haven't deep dived into the core of why you are doing what you're doing. You know, why do you think that you had to smoke? Why do you think you had to drink? And why do you now have moved that into snacks? Because when you deep dive into the core of what happens, and I do this amazing process, it's called a conscious alignment. And what we do in that conscious alignment is we bring you back to the core event. So there may be something that happened in your childhood or as a young adult, or even, you know, in recent years, where they have triggered you and you started doing this habit, because that's all it is a habit, where you reach for something when you are triggered possibly, or something happens in your life which triggers you. And it could be something as easy as someone saying that something to you. And the funny thing about triggers is that one person can trigger you, and then another person can say exactly the same thing and it doesn't trigger you. So it could be the fact that this person reminds you of someone who did something or said something when you were younger. And, you know, sometimes as a young child, from a child's perspective, we misunderstand so much what's been said or done. So it's really important. So Lisa, if you would like to reach out to me, more than happy to do the conscious alignment process on you. Obviously, there will be an investment, but it will get you to the core of the issue, as opposed to you are looking at the symptoms. So you've literally just gone from smoking and drinking into snacking. So you've got to the symptoms, but you haven't got to the core reason as to why you feel like you require them. Also, I have found too, a lot of the times, I'm not sure where you are, Lisa, if you don't want to do a conscious alignment process with me, I highly recommend that you seek out in your local area. And if you live on the Gold Coast, can highly recommend you one. Just, you know, PM me. But a clinical hypnotherapist will also get you to the core of the issue, not the symptom, the core. And believe me, once you get to it, you stop, because it's just there to help you to learn how to move beyond this habit, but because you haven't got to that yet, you will continue to do that habit. And it's amazing. Honestly, it's so releasing when you are no longer tied to your not so ideal habits. Of course, it's great when you've got good habits, and of course you determine whether they're good or bad. What's good for one is not good for another. Up to you. Okay. Thank you, Christine. Lisa. Okay. It was easy and not an issue. Is that to stop? Okay. Or to give up? Okay, that's fine. Okay, Lisa, I'm glad that helps you. You're on the sunny coast. Okay. I don't know a clinical hypnotherapist on the sunny coast, but I'm sure there are many. But please make sure it's a clinical hypnotherapist, not just a hypnotherapist. There is a difference. Clinical hypnotherapists have studied for years and years and years, and a lot of them have master's degrees in it. So they're very quick at being able to get you down to there as well. But as I said, up to you, and it's great. Okay, I've been talking non-stop. So today before we came on, so keep asking me any questions before we came on, as always. I like to draw a card from these channel spiritual guidance cards because I feel it's a message, and I ask when I'm drawing them, shuffling the cards, what is the best message for everyone who comes on either live or watches a recording. And today I drew card 25, which is called the Book of Life. It's a beautiful card, isn't it? Let me bring it in here. Oh, yeah, my green screen's making it a bit, because it's all green. The book is all green, so it looks like it's clear. But anyway, that's what happens when you have a green screen. So the Book of Life is card number 25, and it says, your new journey is unfolding. Today you have opened the book of your life, and it weaves its magic around you. Look and see what your book is offering. Glimpse within the pages. It will illuminate the path more clearly, giving you the key to grasp in your hand. The book will flood your mind with inspiration and show you all the benefits of your journey. All things are within your field of awareness. Hold on tight as abundance flows to you. The Book of Life reveals many doorways that lead you on other paths. It guides you like a roadmap with clarity and understanding that with this book, you will never be lost. Isn't that amazing? Like, it's so much what I was talking about. And yes, I pulled the card before I came on, but I never read what it was about because I love to read it when I read it to you. All things are within your field of awareness. Isn't that amazing? The book will flood your mind with inspiration and show you all the benefits of your journey. Now, that's the gift that I always talk about. It's the gift of loss, because there are so many benefits when you choose to deep dive in, to get out of the blame and start to take responsibility for not only what has happened, but starting to say, okay, this has happened in my life. What is the lessons that I can learn from this? How can I grow? How can I heal? What is it that this has happened? And it's amazing when you start to ask yourself some questions and do the deep dive into you, how not only do you find the answers, but you also find the action steps that you can then take that will lead you to that better everyday life. And it will ensure that what has happened in the past no longer needs to happen again, because you've received the gift, you've received the lessons. And, as I said, with breaking down words, the words lessons, when you receive the lessons, there is less on you. So it's important to do that deep dive and not go into that blame. It's about you saying, okay, why is this happening for me? What is it that requires healing? How can I learn? How can I grow? All those sort of things, because we're all on a journey. We're all spiritual beings having an earthly experience. And the reason we come down to earth is because we know it's not going to be an easy trial, an easy life. It is going to be full of trials and tribulations. It is going to be where we grow immensely spiritually. And that's why we're here. And I'm the first one to say it's not easy at all. But when you start to get your little gems and all of your tools into a beautiful little gem box that will assist you to very quickly move out of loss and back into love, as you can see by my infinity triangle behind you, we are all living a life that goes from love to loss and then back to love. And it's up to us how long that takes for us to get back to love. Some people get stuck in loss for years and years and years, and they wonder why they can't get out of it. It's because they're not embracing the lessons. They're not embracing the gifts that this has come to them. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not easy. It's not easy to deep dive into yourself and find those gems, because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And if everyone was doing it, we wouldn't require all of these avoidance tactics that we've all got so good at embracing, food, alcohol, drugs, things like anger, working too much, eating too much, drinking too much. But not only that, working is such a huge one that we all, the first thing we say many times is, oh, I'm busy. Busyness is an avoidance. It's important for us to know that. Shopping too much, exercising too much, they're avoidances. Social media, we've created the best avoidance tactic on earth. I'm busy on social media and I'm just reading about this, or I'm doing this, or I'm deep diving into this series. It's stopping you from really embracing your life and achieving all of your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Something really important. How do you cut cords with negative people in your life? Great question, Christine. Really great question. There's an exercise that I have done many times, and it's a physical exercise that you can actually do. So I'm going to give you the steps, and it's a really something for you to understand. First of all, you've got to figure out why you're ready to, and make sure that you are ready to break cords with them. And it's never really easy if they're part of your family, because you will possibly have to see them again. But the surprising thing is, though, is when you actually do cut these cords, they may stop being the negative people in your life, because they may be the ones that are here to give you that message that you haven't been receiving. So when you actually do, you can deep dive into it. What are the things that they're actually saying that's triggering you? So that's one step. And you can start to really look into them and say, what is this about? Like, why is this person so negative around me and they're draining me? So if they are continually negative around you and draining you, are you saying no to them? That's the first step. The first most important step is to start to say no to them. When they start to drain your energy and your time, it's time for you to say no and be honest with them. Say, look, you're just too negative. You bring me down. But you bring me down for days, not just for the hour or so we're together. So I can't be around you when you're like that. But a good way to cut a cord with someone is to tune into your body. Tune into, when you think of this person, where do you feel angst in your body? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your heart? Is it in your arms? Is it in your head? Really tune into, when you think about this person and the things that they say, where you start to feel maybe a little bit sick or a bit of pain. When you get that spot, start to breathe deep into that spot. So just say it's in your heart. So just visually see your breath coming into the heart and start to fill it up with all the love. And then when you breathe out with a bit of noise. And as you do it with a bit of noise, start to see the dark mass that has been accumulated from you thinking about and being around that person. So that when you breathe out, when I say with a bit of noise, make it a ah, or a ugh. So bring it out so that you've got force behind it, okay? And then breathe in, put some more loving breaths into that spot. And if it's still feeling a little bit, grab it by your hands and go, oh, like literally as you make the noise of it coming out, do it with your hands at the same time. And it may seem a little melodramatic, but I can tell you right now, not only will you feel better, and that's how you're releasing the attachment to each other. And the funny thing about it is they will feel it. We are all energetically connected. So as you start to visually have sound and movement and moving this mass that they are creating in your body out of your body, they will feel you cut the cords. And the beautiful thing about it is that as you're releasing it, it's really good then for you to restore what hole or that has created. And that's when you can do a really nice, put on some really nice music, start moving to it and start bringing in the love and the joy of what you want to be brought in now that you have released that dark mass from your body. So you're restoring all of the love and things. And when you restore, you can then start to rejoice, because when you rejoice, you feel so much better. Hope that helps. Christine, connect with me. More than happy for you to actually say that. But just remember, it's about you releasing, restoring, and rejoicing. It's releasing from the part of your body that feels angst whenever you think about that person or being around that person. Could be in your heart, could be in your stomach. And also then another great thing for you to do is to look up the secret language of the body by Ina Segal and see what that relates to, that part of your body. What is this person making me feel like this in this part of my body? Because that may be a lesson for you as well, where you can go, oh, wow, okay, I do require healing now. Because so often we see negative people as just drainers, but they all have a message, whether we're positive or negative, we all have a message for each other. And it could be as simple as you learning how to say no. So often it's so easy for us to say yes and to not actually, when we are saying yes to others, are we saying no to ourselves? And that's a really important realization for us all to have, because you're the only person you're going to spend your entire life with. So if you are spending it looking after everyone else and not looking after yourself and stopping yourself from having the time and the energy to go out and achieve all of your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, well, it's not good. It's not good, because you're going to get to the end of your life and you're going to do your life review and you go on to the next adventure, and you're going to realize that you didn't achieve everything that you had set out to do this lifetime, because you did go into avoidance, and the way you went into avoidance was doing everything for everyone else. Oh, I'm busy helping everyone else. I don't have time to do the things that I want to do. I'm the martyr. But that's not living your life. We're all individuals. We are all, as I said, you're the only person you're going to spend your entire life with. You come in alone. Sure, you have your mother there, but you come in alone and you will leave alone. And more than likely, when you go, your mother will not be there. She'll be waiting for you on the other side to greet you and do your party with you and rejoice that you're back together. So I hope that helps with releasing cords. But it's really good to do a physical activity where you move your hands and move your legs. And it might be you, if it's in your legs, start shaking your legs and thumping your legs and moving them to release that energy, break up that energy. You might even want to chop it to start with, to break it up if it's this really large mass. So, chopping it up, and then you can start to then release it through sound and movement, because that's what really gets it outflowing into the energy. And it's not going to go to them. They will feel it, but it will go out of you and up, and it'll dissipate. So, it's a great exercise, and you can do it by yourself, or you can do it with other people. I've done it in groups, and it's amazing how not only much lighter we all feel, but how joyous we all feel, and very feminine, I have to say, because when you do that beautiful practice of restoring after you've released, it's very calming, like bringing it in and visualizing all that you require, all the light and the love and the joy, and it really does help you. And if it's in your throat, really deep dive into your throat. Your throat is your voice. Are you using your voice in the most ideal manner? Are you saying no? Are you saying, no to the right things and yes to the right things? Because sometimes we say no when we should be saying yes, especially if it's in something that puts us outside of our comfort zone. So it's important for you to really deep dive into what is happening in you. Hope that helps, Christine. I know it was a long one. Great question, though. Love the question, because we don't know how to release the cords in us. If you see them again, do you have to cut the cord again? No, because more than likely, when you see them again, it'll be different energy, because you've cut that negative energy, and it may be that you will have a loving relationship with them moving forward. But sometimes it's about you realizing and deep diving, what is it about them? Remember also that sometimes people do things that reflect our shadow to us. And that's what we don't like, is the fact that what they're doing and how they're behaving is a shadow that we keep sort of hidden within us. It's about you healing that. And through you healing it with this other person, you will heal it within yourself, because you've become more aware. You shine the light on it. And once you shine the light on it, you actually will shine the light on yourself, and you realize that there's no requirement for you to keep it in the shadow, because it's not part of you. I really needed to hear that. Oh, good. I'm so glad, Christine. And I really appreciate you. You turn up most weeks, so thank you very much for that. So, everybody, what is it that I can assist you with? Are there any more questions today? Is there anything else that I can assist you with? Because what I have found is that we all have so much to give to each other. I have obviously done a lot of the deep dive. It's in July, it'll be 10 years since Dan passed and went on to his next adventure. So I am a completely different person to who I was 10 years ago. And I'm sure you're a completely different person to who you were 10 years ago. But one thing that I also know, and it's really important for us all to know, is we never know how many lives we touch in our lives. And a lot of the time people never tell us. At Dan's funeral, I had so many people come up to me. He was 27. Come up to me and tell me about who he was at work and how he did this and how he said this and how he made them feel. And you never know how much you are doing the same thing. It could be a look, or it could be a smile that you give someone, a complete stranger. It could be a little something that you say to someone, a compliment when they are feeling down and you didn't even know they were feeling down. You just literally said what popped into your head and you made their day. And what's popped into my head is the movie A Wonderful Life, which really so beautifully highlights that. It's a movie that was made in 1947, and I'm pretty sure most people have seen it. Though in saying that, my girlfriend who's been here, we watched the other night because she gave me this little, what are they called? A chime, a chime. And it started to make a bit of noise. And as it made it, I said, oh, an angel has got their wings. Whenever a bell rings, an angel gets their wings. And she says, oh, that's nice. And I came from, A Wonderful Life. And she's going, I don't think I've ever seen that movie. So we tracked it down and we watched it. And it's a 2-hour movie, but it's such a beautiful story. And that's what that story is all about, is you don't know how many people's lives you touch just by you living your life. Things that would have happened, and that he clearly got to see that if he hadn't had been born, how different his whole community and town would have been. So you may sometimes feel that you are all alone and your life doesn't matter. But I'm here to tell you that it does. Because when you look at the things that you've done and you've said and all over your life, you start to realize that, yeah, you do matter. And you matter the most to you because you chose to come down here and live this life and be you. So start to embrace that. Start to ask yourself those questions, because it's through questions. And let's have a look at questions, right? So in our body, we have all these cells and we have these ions in these cells. So we have quest and ions, that's questions, right? So when we start to ask ourselves and our inner being, our ions, all of these questions, we start to put ourselves on a quest to a better way of looking at things, on a quest of a better way of doing things, on a quest of how we can enhance our lives so that we can live and love our lives. So the more questions and the more quality of the questions you start asking yourself, the better your life will become, because you will start to receive answers. Because for every question that is asked, there is an answer waiting to be revealed. And for every answer that is revealed, there is an action step waiting to be taken. And for every action step that you take, you are moving one step closer to living and loving your life. You're moving closer to creating the life that you actually came down here to live. So it's really important for you to expend at least 5 to 10 minutes asking yourself a question each day. Grab an amazing journal book and just start to write down whatever pops into your head. And even if your question is, I don't know what to write, can you help me? You'll be amazed at what happens when you just start automatically writing. It really is that simple. Right. I am just about over for today. Unless there's any more questions, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for living and loving and liking this. Please, reach out if you have any questions, and always remember, as I share each week, if you feel that you're not living and loving your life, well, maybe it's time for you to revitalize your life. And that is what I created. I created a series called Revitalize Your Life, which is a 45-day series where each day you end up getting a different we get a little different awareness that pops into this special little area. I'm sure I'll send you an email as well that will assist you to do that deep dive into you, to ask those questions that you're not really sure what to ask. This 45-day series will assist you in asking those questions. And at the end of it, I guarantee that you'll have a different awareness. You'll have a different understanding. You'll be like totally amazed at the things that we talk about out of the 45 days. And, 45 days is 6 weeks. It's all about forming new habits, more habits that will assist you to put yourself first, to love yourself, to understand that your time matters, that you matter, that the way, your friends matter, everything that you do matters. And that's what it's about. So I've just, posted in the comment where you can actually add to that. And thank you, Christine, as always. Oh, I didn't mention the Revitalize Your Life is $1 a day, $1 Australian a day. I know, ridiculous, isn't it? So for $45, you can have the whole series of emails and downloads. And, it takes you no more than 45 minutes each day to do the activity. but you'll be amazed at what happens. I can tell you right now, if you don't have 45 minutes each day, I can assist you with it, because I have never worked with anyone where I haven't been able to find a minimum of 10 hours a week for them to actually do these activities. So that's it from me. Thank you everyone for being here. Thanks, Christine. Really glad. And thanks for playing, and Lisa and everyone else who has asked questions. I really do appreciate. Is it recorded videos or lives for the course? Okay, Christine, it's recorded videos, but believe it or not, all of the videos are less than 6 minutes long. I think the most is 7 minutes, but I think the majority of them are like 3-4 minutes. And the video is just about talking about the activity. So there is a PDF download that comes with it, because it is about you doing the deep dive on whatever the topic is for the day. And we do that through you answering the questions that are in it. And it's amazing. I had so much fun putting them together. The awareness that will come to you will be amazing. But more importantly, it's about you coming back to you, because we lose ourselves along the way, whether it's through growing up or whether it's through our relationships with our girlfriends or with our partners or whoever it is. Slowly we lose a little bit of ourselves here, there, everywhere. It's about you refinding you, because you matter. You honestly matter. And that's what it's about. And that's what I assist you to do, is to know that you really do matter. So thank you again, everyone. Bye for now. And remember, same time next week, noon, Australian Eastern Standard Time, I will be here for an hour. Bye.